Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to go over a case study because I feel like every good agency channel needs to have some case study videos to show, a bit about them, what they're doing in terms of with their clients and some of the successes that they've had. So, yeah, I wanted to show here an example of a brand that we took from 0% to 23% revenue from email. So this was, a brand new to email e-commerce store. And yeah, pretty much they weren't doing anything before they started working with us. And yeah, so see, as I say, sorry, we can get into that in this video. So an e-commerce brand. Um, I won't say the name of it for NDA reasons, but it's an online record shop that we were working with. And yeah, as I say, they were doing no email before we began working together. They were just doing ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, and just like so, pretty much just some loyal customers that would just keep coming back, which is fine. That's cool. But obviously, it kind of kept them at a certain level, and they were spending a lot on ads to get all of this revenue as well. So they had an email list as well. It was around 1K, maybe like 1100, something like that. They didn't have many. They weren't sending any flows or campaigns, and the list was pretty much just sitting in there. It was MailChimp that they actually had it in, and yeah, it was just sitting in there. There was just 1,000 people in there who had purchased already. Um, so as they say here, the subscribers in the list were solely from those who'd ordered before and consented to emails. So you may have this if you have an e-commerce store where all of your email subscribers, they're pretty much just from when you like place a purchase, and it will like tick. Would you like to receive emails from them, like marketing emails? And usually people just will leave it ticked. Um, Unless they really just hate being emailed. But nonetheless, this was pretty much their list was just made up of people who purchased already, and yeah, as I say, like these are customers already, so they already purchased, even more likely to buy, but they were just sitting in there. So they had no email capture, as I say, they just had that. The people who had already ordered. So yeah, just really not doing much, and just pretty much just leaving email completely off their marketing strategy, quite frankly. Uh, so to get into the numbers a little bit, they were doing around 12K a month when we met them. It's a pretty small brand, to be honest, for an e-commerce store. We don't really work with brands actually that are this small anymore. But in the beginning, nonetheless, it was just a client that we were working with, and yeah, they were doing 12K a month, pretty new, but gathering a strong community. Um, so this was their store at the start, as you can see. So yeah, they were doing like 12,900 in the April. And yeah, we had a call together. We agreed to work. And yeah, this was October, a few months later. So this was obviously that 23% revenue from email, as you can see that. Um, yeah, and this is just a breakdown of the flows that we had in place. The thank you flow was, a big winner for them. And then just we sent one campaign per week as well. Just because, say we weren't necessarily doing that many emails for them because it was more of a small client, to be honest. But yeah, as I say, one a week, and then obviously that pulled in, you know, some sales, pretty much about $1,600, and then the flows brought in around 2K for that month. So yeah, a 23% bump in revenue, and this is with no ad costs involved at all. Um, so obviously this is just pretty much just extra revenue, quite frankly, that they couldn't get before just because they were ignoring this segment of their marketing. And yeah, they were just mm, you know they were just running ads, and this just allowed them to get that 23% bump in revenue. So, not a huge figure, quite frankly, for this small e-com brand. Um, but obviously, as their brand grows in revenue, the revenue from email will grow as well. So this is obviously a percentage of total revenue type thing. And as a brand scales, that percentage remains. So let's just take a little look at how things scale for our larger store. So obviously in the 12K a month example, 23% revenue from email, it's like around 3.6. A store doing below this one, say 120K a month, 23% revenue from email, around 36K a month. So obviously that's 10x. We have a couple clients actually that are around in this sort of range, and yeah, they do around 40K a month from email. So yeah, as you can see, it really does scale up. And then obviously a 1.2 as well. Obviously, if it was doing say 1.2 million a month and still at that 23%, we start to get into the much larger numbers here, 360K a month in revenue, and yeah, we have a couple clients that are in this sort of range as well. Yeah, I kind of just wanted to start off the case studies with just a nice, you know, just a nice small example, just to show how it kind of scales, and that it doesn't even have to be necessarily a huge store. Obviously, the percentage of revenue from email is what we like to focus on. To get to that gold standard that I've mentioned in other videos, actually, about it being 30%, and that's pretty standard for an e-commerce store. Yeah. But things do change slightly at scale, I will admit. So the number of flows and campaigns being sent is typically higher when you have like a much larger store. So there would need to be more, say, segmented flows in place to actually capture some extra triggers that wouldn't have been in place beforehand. Obviously, if it was a bit of a smaller store, we won't need necessarily, a VIP flow, or maybe birthday flows, or a record store. Like say you'd have like a jazz lover flow, or like a rock lover flow, like all of these types of things. But the store wasn't really, quite frankly, big enough. Didn't have a big enough list to really do these types of things. But as they grow, this is stuff that will be added and will be done to continue to push to that 30% revenue, even at scale. So if this client was making over 100K a month, as I say, and had a bigger list, we'd set up some, genre flows based off, if they love jazz, if they love rock, hip hop, this type of thing. They would get a custom, set of emails, maybe gender-based flows, maybe VIP flows, as I say, maybe location-based stuff, like where they bought from. Maybe we could start introducing other languages. As I say, it can get pretty big, but in the beginning, if a store making that much, it's not really going to be too complicated. But nonetheless, still the core foundations still apply, and for email, they're the most important thing. So not only did we get them to that 23% revenue, but with our email capture in place, the client grew their subscriber list as well, continuing on from there. So yeah, as I say, if you run an e-commerce store, save yourself the headache of learning to be an email expert and apply to work with the agency below. Plenty more case studies to come, much larger ones as well. Obviously, this is just a small store, but still very powerful. It just shows the potential of email. Obviously, if you run an e-commerce store, as I say, whatever kind of figure you're at, if you're not at 30% revenue from email or from Klaviyo in this case, you really are most likely leaving some revenue or potentially a lot of revenue on the table. And I really implore you to book in a call using the link below to just for us to have a call and see if we're a fit, see if we can help, depending on where you're at. And yeah, hope this video was helpful. I like showing these case studies, so this will be something that we'll do a lot more. And hope you have a nice rest of your day. And thanks for coming back to the channel. See you soon.